Good day, everybody. Welcome back to NB Bass, and I'm your host, Donald Patterson, here for part 2 of this week's show, our new format for our first time ever, doing 2 short shows in 1 week. A little bit different way of doing things, but as I said in part 1, hopefully it works out for the best and allows a few more people to give us a listen. Before we go any further, though, I do have to do my usual thank yous. Fish Bum Outfitters, Carrot Sticks Rods, Southern Yankee Baits, War Dog Lures, Northern Michigan Outfitters, Hooked on Canadian Angling, and of course my wife and my son. Without these businesses and my family, it definitely makes it a whole lot harder for me to do what I do and enjoy doing the things that I do. So thank you to all of them. So much going through my head getting ready for this weekend. New Brunswick Sport Fishing Association is back in full swing on Saturday, less than 48 hours away. We are back in tournament mode on the lower St. John River, launching in Oromocto, New Brunswick. A body of water that I personally have a bit of a love-hate relationship with. I love it because, for all intents and purposes, it's my home body of water. I grew up on the lower St. John River, and that's where I cut my teeth fishing, is on that body of water. But for whatever reason, summertime on that stretch of river is not kind to Jason and myself. We fished 2 tournaments there on the lower river last summer, and let's just say the results were less than stellar. Now our fall event there, day 1 of our championship, we were sitting in 3rd place after day 1. Had a phenomenal day. And fall of the year, we have a couple spots that we have, for all intents and purposes, dialed in. Summertime, not so much. So as much as I'm looking forward to it, there's still that, oh no, here we go again, feeling in the pit of my stomach. And I know I can't be the only angler, or that Jason and I can't be the only anglers that have this situation, that certain pieces of water at certain times of year just don't cooperate. Now, that being said, we're taking a completely different approach to it this year, and we're going to hit, I tried a pre-fish last week. My wife and I went out on our wedding anniversary of all days, God bless her, and we hit a few spots, and the results were less than stellar. But, so Jason and I are, I guess you could say, winging it this year. We're not gonna try the spots that we have always thought would produce that haven't in the past, and we still think those spots have potential. It's just a timing situation. But we have to change our game plan. Different baits, different pieces of water, approach things a different way. And I can't help but wonder how many of you have been in the same situation. Your plan A completely falls apart, whether it be during pre-fish or in the early stages of a tournament. And you have to resort to plan B, C, D, whatever the case may be. And how do you keep your mental focus? How do you tell yourself, I can still do this? How do you tell yourself the day's not over? It's hard when you have a stretch of water that you know should produce or know has produced in the past, and all of a sudden it's not producing. It throws a curveball at you, and it comes down to mental fortitude. Do you have it? Not the skills. You wouldn't be tournament fishing if you haven't proven your skill set, at least to a point. I mean, obviously we all go into it probably without being fully prepared, and we all have more to learn, and we're constantly learning, or we should be constantly learning, or we should give it up. Because it's the same as anything else. The minute you think you know it all, quit. Because if you think you know it all, you're in for some huge disappointments very, very soon. So how do you keep your mental focus? It's not easy. It's definitely not easy. It's a struggle for all of us. Whether you're in your first tournament, your second tournament, or you fished 1,000 tournaments. Everybody has good days and bad days, good times of year, bad times of year. And, I mean, a prime example, on a huge, huge scale in comparison to what we do, Kevin Van Dam. People were saying for the last little while, will KVD ever win again? Will KVD ever win again? Well, I guess he's answered that and shut the naysayers up quickly this year with 2 victories on the Elite Series. Why? Is Kevin Van Dam that much better of an angler as far as his skill set? And without a doubt, KVD is, unbelievable as far as his skill set. But is it really the skills, the physical skills, that have made him the angler it is today? Or he is today, and has been for the last however many years? Or is it what goes on inside his head? Is it his ability to approach a situation and never quit? To know that that next big bite could just be one more cast away. Excuse me. To know that it doesn't take 8 hours of catching fish to win a tournament. It takes potentially 15 minutes to win a tournament. You don't give up. When you're out fun fishing, just playing around with your family and friends, yeah, if you're catching, you're catching. You're out having fun. You're doing what you love. The minute you flip that switch and you go into tournament mode, you load that boat up with what you think you're going to need that day. You slip your jersey on, if you have one, or you slip your quote-unquote lucky shirt on, and you switch from just fishing mode to tournament fishing mode, it completely changes things. Doesn't matter whether you're a weekend warrior like most of us, or you're doing it for a living, or you're aspiring to do it for a living. You need that mental toughness. And I'm not saying I'm perfect at it. Jason and I have talked about this a lot lately. We have a bad habit of overthinking situations. Instead of reverting back to what we know, and reverting back to just having some fun, we're too hard on ourselves. And we've shot ourselves in the foot a few times because of that. Because of, instead of focusing on a spot or a technique, or we start second guessing everything we do. It's a hard obstacle to overcome. It's something, like I said, Jason and I have been working on. And we've talked about it a lot going into this weekend because we know what our results from Oromocto last year were like. And we don't want to duplicate that. So, back to basics. Back to how we started. Back to having fun. We're going out Saturday. Yes, we're paying our entry fee. It's paid. We're good to go. But we're going to go have some fun. We've seen some spots that we've wanted to fish. We've driven by them in previous tournaments and said we should try that spot someday. Well, the opportunities haven't arisen to get to those locations. Well, guess what? Tournament or not, we're going hunting. I guess you could say. We're going to hit spots we've never hit before. We probably will throw baits we've never thrown before. Not that we've never thrown before, but we've never thrown a lot of. because we know we've got to change it up. What we do, what we are best at, and the spots that we prefer don't produce in the summer. So now it's up to our mental game to say, okay, change of plans, and going at it from a different angle. And for each of us, so for some people that's easier said than done. For some people it's easier to do than others. But there comes a time for all of us that we don't have a choice. So just remember, the fish are there. It's up to you to find them, and it's up to you to not defeat yourself. You know, especially if you're fairly new to this game, and if you're lucky enough to have signed on to some staffing agreements, you know, pro staffing, field staffing for companies, that's an added level of pressure again, because then you're thinking, well, I've got to produce or these companies aren't going to keep me around. Well, take that pressure off yourself. Those companies signed you for a reason. They saw something in you and your ability to promote their brand that they liked. So unless you make a complete and total fool of yourself on the water, at an event, on social media, as long as you continue to promote their brand, those companies are going to continue to work with you. Take that level of pressure off yourself. Most of our pressures are self-inflicted. So just remember, don't defeat yourself. Don't look at the other boats and say, well, he's got a 250 and I've got a 150. I can't get to that spot. Well, no, that guy's going to beat you to that spot. But guess what? He's going to drive by more fish than he ever catches. So it's up to you to find the fish between the launch and where you thought you wanted to go, because you know that guy with the 250 is going to beat you there. Find those thousands of fish that he drove by, because they're there. It's up to you to find them. Don't defeat yourself. Stay focused. Don't give up. You know, you're going to cast, you're going to cast, you're going to cast. Your arm's going to be sore, your back's going to be tired. Like I said, especially for us weekend warriors, guys like me, I'm a fat, out-of-shape truck driver. I don't stand up for 9 hours a day. I sit down for most of my day. But I'm going to cast. I'm going to cast until I can't cast anymore. And when I think I can't cast anymore, I'm going to cast another 100 times. Whatever it takes. And that way, when you leave the water, you can say, without a doubt, you gave it your all. Come in with your head held high. And guess what? If you caught one fish, bring that one fish to the scale. Do yourself the favor, because you will feel a whole lot better about yourself. Yes, it's embarrassing when you're standing there, and I've done it. When you're standing there with one fish that weighs 1.25 pounds, and the guy in front of you has a 5-fish bag for 16 pounds. It's a little bit embarrassing. But you did what you set out to do. You fished the tournament. You gave it your all. So don't defeat yourself. And just like that, folks, 15 minutes has flown by. Or, well, 14. This has been NB Bassin for another week. I hope these 15-minute episodes help people find the time to give us a listen and check out what I have to say when I'm ranting and raving. Good luck to all the New Brunswick Sport Fishing Association competitors this weekend, and to anybody else fishing, whether in a tournament or just for fun. Get out there, enjoy the weekend, set some hooks, and make the most of it. Thanks again to all the companies I work with, my family, my friends, my tournament partner, and all the great people I've met through the sport of fishing. One more time, this is Donald Patterson. This has been NB Bassin. Set the hook and keep those lines tight.